Hello, welcome to the Sean Show, Season 2, Episode 15, here to talk about NFL Week 13, a little bit about 12 to start with. Alright, let's get straight into it. The Sim this week went 9-5 in Week 10 of NFL football. It did get Thursday Night Football wrong, as I mentioned last show. Now, we've got... What did it pick wrong? For some reason it picked the Tennessee Titans. It picked the Raiders, that's a fair pick. Picked the Eagles. And picked the Steelers. So essentially, in a bit more regular-ish week, I guess the Sim would have only got that Tennessee game wrong. Oh, well, that's pretty nice. Pick rate of 64.3 this week. Let's go to its picks for the week 13. And for those of you who are new to the channel, which is probably most of you, before the season started, I think it was around mid-pre-season, we created the model, we predicted every game, we predicted which teams were getting into the playoffs, we predicted the records for everybody, and currently on the season it is 100 to 81. I just want to bring up a little fact. A little factoid about this little model, this little simulation of ours. So I was having a look at the CBS sports guys do their picks for this week. Kyle Long, former Browns players, and Pete Prisco, CBS NFL analyst, I guess. Look, the model is beating them out. The model is beating both of them out. Kyle has 93 wins. Pete has 98 wins. They get to see the game every week and they get to make their picks every week. So, interesting little factoid there. The model is a beast. Believe in it. Now, Thursday Night Football, it's currently 8-5. This week was a little bit different. We did have the Thanksgiving games and then the Black Friday game. Simulation went 0 for 4 right there. But myself on bets, I went 4 for 0. That's right. I made a nice little parlay of Packers, Cowboys, and Bengals. And then the following day, I bet on the Bears. All money line. All good. All dollars. For the rest of the week, though, the Sim has picked the Rams. I'm likely to go with the Rams. It's picked San Fran. This one's a bit of a dicey one. Can be a dangerous game. 3 picks last week for Brock Purdy. I'm a little on the fence here. I'm just going to quickly check my against the spread pick, and I have the Browns against the spread. I think this might be a bit of a dangerous game for the San Francisco 49ers. I might go with the Browns right here. Next up, we got the Texans in the divisional going into Indianapolis to battle it out with the Colts. It has picked the Texans here. I am picking the Colts myself to win this game. Nice little factoid. This episode is all about factoids. Sheesh. I've heard from Pat McAfee's show and from JJ Watt, personally from JJ Watt, we spoke. He said that it's like the last 5 times that the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense have come head to head. The number 1 offense has come out on top every time. In that case, this is the Indianapolis Colts at home. So I'm also picking them. Then we've got the Saints versus the Dolphins. Sims picked the Dolphins. I'm also going with the Dolphins here. Started to watch some of the pressers from the Saints. I'm a little bit more interested in this team. Alvin Kamara is out for this game as well. Go on the Dolphins though, coming off a bye week. Then we got the Atlanta Falcons going into the Factory of Sadness to take on the Jets headed by Tyrod Taylor. I do have the Falcons here, -2.5 in the against the spread section. Yeah, Atlanta Falcons. I'm comfortable with that. It's just that it's in New York. If it wasn't in New York, I might be inclined to go with the Jets, but sheesh. Factory of Sadness right there. Next we have the Arizona Cardinals going in to Tampa Bay for a divisional game. The Sims picked the Bucks. I'm going to pick the Cardinals. The Cardinals no longer are running the Kyler Murray game plan. That's why I think they're going to win. Also, the Sim didn't think that they were going to make a change, and the Sim didn't think that the Bucks would be absolutely injury prone. So I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals. Then we have another divisional game. Houston, that AFC South is all divisional this week. Jags going into Tennessee. I've got the Jags as well. Sim's got the Jags. This could be a surprising loss for the Jags. These divisional games can be rough. They can be very tight games. And the Titans defense, is not something to sneeze at. It's just that offense. The offense needs to get worked out. We'll move on. They've got talent. Maybe an O-line? I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there. Alright, now we have Minnesota. Minnesota Vikings coming off a pretty nasty beating by the Packers. They will be rocking their new quarterback. I don't have his name off the top of my head. It's actually Max Brosner. So JJ McCarthy, I think he's got a concussion or something. Max Brosner is the guy next in line. Carson Wentz is injured. This could be a dangerous game. Could be dangerous. The Sims picked the Seahawks. I think I'm also picking the Seahawks here though. Next we got another divisional game. The AFC West this time. Raiders going into the Chargers. The Sim thought that Geno Smith, Pete Carroll Raiders was going to be a much better team with Tyler Lockett over there and Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty and Max Crosby, but it just hasn't worked out. It really, really hasn't worked out. I'm going with the Chargers here. Sim might be wrong. Next up, we've got the Buffalo Bills going into Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Both teams coming off a loss, I think. I'm not really going to fact check that. Yeah, they are. They're both coming off a loss. Both of them had a win the week before, though, so it's a bit of an up and downsy right here. I'm also going with the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to play. He does have a fractured left hand or something like that. The Bills, they just need... their defense isn't great. Their offense can get spicy, but I just think the Steelers are a more complete team. It's probably going to be an overhit here because defense is, at least the passing defense for both of these teams is not amazing. Anyway, let's move on. I'm picking the Steelers. Sunday Night Football. The Denver Broncos and the Washington Commanders. Sunday Night Football. I'm going with the Broncos here. Sim thought that the Washington Commanders were going to be riding high like they were last year. They are not riding high like they were last year. So Marcus Mariota is heading this bunch. He's playing some nice clean and safe football. He hasn't been turning it over. But this Denver Bronco defense, guys, Texans is the number one defense, but you wonder why the Denver Broncos defense is not the number one defense. They are weapons. Oh my god. I think every D lineman on that team has 4 sacks. Either way, I'm going with the Denver Broncos here. And then on Monday Night Football, we've got a classic matchup. New York Giants going into the New England Patriots. The Sims picked the Giants. Last week, Jameis Winston was absolutely electric, catching a touchdown, running a guy over, keeping his feet, and getting in the end zone. Man, they lost that game to the Lions in overtime. They got it to overtime. I did tell you it was a very dangerous game for the New York Giants, didn't I? For the Detroit Lions, didn't I? I did. Unfortunately, they did not win. Another thing that I do have to bring up, The Cowboys did beat the Philadelphia Eagles. As I stated last week, Philadelphia Eagles lose to who? They're divisional rivals, man. They lost to New York. Lost to the Cowboys. You guys gotta listen. You just gotta listen. I'm going with the Patriots here, though. This is still a dangerous New York Giants team. The thing is, Jameis had his up game. It's time for his down game. This Patriots team ain't gonna take no shit, especially not in New England. I think the Giants get sat down a little bit this week. I think they get sat down a little bit. Now, I'm not 100% sure if Jameis is starting because I think Jackson Dart had a concussion. I'm just going to quickly check that before we do move over to the next section. Alright, let's have a look. See, there's so many people on injuries at this part of the season. It's insane. Jackson Dart, full participant in practice. Looking good. Looking good then. If it is Jackson Dart starting, I think it's slightly less dangerous New York Giants team. Sorry to say that. Either way, season pick rate for the sim is 55.2, and we'll get to that little bit of Jackson Dart news in the next section. Against the spread, let's get it. Let's get it. Let us get it, guys. Jackson Dart is starting, by the way. Alright. Enough of that jibber jabber. Thanksgiving. Packers absolutely laid the slam down on the Lions, getting another win and sitting atop the North for just a little bit. And then the Dallas Cowboys taking out a dub against Kansas City, making their situation even more dire and bringing up the hopes even further for them boys. Then Joe Burrows comes back, gets a big dub against the Baltimore Ravens. Big dub. Whoa, 32-14. Baltimore Ravens, before Lamar Jackson was back, was still the favorite to win that division, but the thing is wide open. The Steelers are still alive. The Bengals are still alive. The Ravens are still alive. The Browns, they can ruin someone's party. They can poopy on a party. And then on Black Friday, we had the Chicago Bears taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles gave up a fumble on the tush push. Let's go, Bears. Let's go. I mean, the Giants drew the blueprint when they made the fumble on Jalen Hurts. It was pretty much the exact same thing coming around the side. Jalen still has to go down. There's too many people above him. Just rip the ball out, man. And that's what happened this time, and it actually got called a fumble this time. Giants got absolutely screwed. Either way, Chicago Bears 24-15. Kings of the North right now. First game of the week, at least for Sunday, is the LA Rams. 10.5 points. I have the Rams here against this slightly shoddy Carolina Panthers team. We're not going to go over it all. I think 10.5 is a lot of points, but I'm still going to rock with it. Any game that the Panthers have lost, they have lost by over 10 points. And I think they'll lose this week. San Francisco getting 5.5 points going in to the Browns. I think this is a little bit of a dangerous game for the Niners. Shedeur Sanders is coming off a nice hot win as a starter. First time I think it's happened since like 2019 or even 2009 that a starting rookie quarterback has won their debut with the Browns. So that's kind of massive. I think probably just based off the performance last week from San Fran and the lethality of this Cleveland Browns defense at home, I've got the Browns here, 5.5 points. I do like them to even possibly win this game. Now going over to the AFC South, we've got the Houston Texans going into Indianapolis at 3.5 points. The number 1 ranked offense at home against the visiting number 1 ranked defense. I've got the Colts here, minus 3.5 points. We talked about this very shortly in the previous section. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about. If you're listening to me, you're probably listening to a lot of other football shows, and they may have brainwashed you into thinking the wrong thing. But still, this game is up in the air. I'm just going to say that. I've got the Colts, though. Have a look at Jonathan Taylor's record against the Houston Texans. Okay, then we have the New Orleans Saints going into Miami. Miami getting 5.5 points. Alvin Kamara is injured for this one. I do have the Dolphins here. They have been an up and down type of team on their scoring. The last time that they played, which was 2 weeks ago, was a down scoring week, and they are versing one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. I think they get away with the 5.5 points in Miami. Then we have the Atlanta Falcons getting 2.5 points going into the Factory of Sadness, headed by Tyrod Taylor. He didn't do amazing last week. Couldn't tell you off the top of my head who they played last week. It was actually the Ravens. Not even the greatest defense around. I do have the Atlanta Falcons here with, I think it's Kirk Cousins. I think it's Kirk. Should be Kirk. Either way, I think they get it done. Then we've got the Arizona Cardinals going into Tampa Bay to take on the Bucks. We've got the Cardinals, 3.5 points here. Now, this Buccaneers team is absolutely slaughtered right now. They're grasping at players to play the game, and that doesn't mean that the Cardinals are not without injuries. Their list is actually longer. Look, I just think they get it done. The Buccaneers they need a get-right game. They really do need a get-right game, and I don't think the Cardinals is a game to get right against. I think it's a game where they have to figure out how to win, if not lose the game. Cardinals for me, 3.5 points. Then we got the Jacksonville Jaguars, 5.5 going in to Tennessee Titans. This is the AFC South second divisional game of the week. I've got the Jaguars here at minus 5.5 points. This can be a dicey one. It is a divisional game, but I still think that this Jags offense can put up points. This Jags defense can take the ball away. The Titans defense can mitigate points. The Titans defense, I don't know how they are with taking the ball away, but the Titans offense cannot score. Figure it out. Jacksonville Jags, 5.5 points. Then we've got the Minnesota Vikings going into Seattle to take on this absolute monster of a team. For some reason, I've got Vikings 12.5. Could be that Max Brosner effect. I really don't know what I was thinking. Any sane person here should take the Seattle Seahawks. I think you should take the Seattle Seahawks. But I'm going with the Vikings. Look, I just think the whole JJ McCarthy thing has not really worked out, and you've got this Max Brosner guy in the wing, was not drafted, I don't believe. Apparently he's quite a cerebral guy. Don't know how accurate he is, but look, I think Kevin O'Connell reels the game plan back a bit, says, hey, let's make some short plays, let's let this guy get the ball to our weapons, and let's just let them eat. I think that's what happens here. I think Jordan Addison, I think friggin' Wheels, Justin Jefferson, I think both of them have probably pretty big games here. And I think a lot of it is going to be yards after the catch. I've got the Vikings, 12.5 points. Seahawks likely win this game though. Just be careful with this one. Then we have another divisional game, AFC West rivalry. Raiders going into the Chargers. Chargers getting 9.5 points. I'm going with the Chargers here. I just cannot feel good about this Raiders team, especially after they lost to the Browns last week. I don't know, man. Let's move on. Then we got the Buffalo Bills, 3.5 points at the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are not favored at home. I've got the Steelers here, 3.5 points. As aforementioned, I just think the D-line of the Pittsburgh Steelers is just going to be a lot for Josh Allen to handle. In my Millie bet, I do have Josh Allen to pick up a touchdown, so I'm kind of contradicting myself here. A few weeks ago, the Steelers were not really being able to make tackles, so this could be a high-scoring affair. But I do have the Steelers here. I think Heinz Field is a difficult place to play in, especially in the evening, especially when it's cold. The Bills are all about the cold. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers get away with one here and keep those Bengals and Ravens sweating just a little bit more. Then on Sunday Night Football, we've got the Denver Broncos versus the Washington Commanders. I've got the Denver Broncos 5.5 points here. I can't feel good about this Washington Commanders team this season. I don't know, maybe next season. Maybe they just let Mario rock this season. Maybe they see if they've got another quarterback they can have a look at. Jaden Daniels is their future. I just don't think he should get. Just bring him in when he's healthy. Don't expedite the process just to get some wins this season. Don't do it. I've got the Denver Broncos. Then we have the New York Giants going in to New England on Monday Night Football. Patriots getting 7.5 points. I'm going with the Patriots here. 7.5 points. Against the spread this season, last week we went 7-6. We are slowly clawing our way back. Well, at least up to 500. I don't think. Maybe after week 1 we were above 500, but since then it's been abysmal. The last few weeks we've been figuring it out though and getting positive records. And as you see, we're almost at 500. We're 80-5. Maybe this week, maybe next week, we'll be back at 5. We'll be up to 500, and then we'll get our show on the road. Now, onto the betting section of the program. This is Lines We Like. So first up, on the left side, I've got favorite dogs. These are my favorite dogs for the week. Underdogs, if you don't know. And then on the right-hand side, we've got some nice little things that you can chuck into a parlay as props to help buff things up. These are simple over-under bets, simple interception bets. So let's get into it. And this week, my favorite dogs. With the Arizona Cardinals, we've spoke about this at large, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like them there. New York Jets, I'm not really too keen on them. Took them out of my 5-game parlay this week, so this one I think they can win the game. I just don't believe they will. Simple. It's a possibility though. Then we've got the Houston Texans, #1 defense, going in to the Loud House to take on the #1 offense. Texans can do this. The only issue I see is that Stroud is starting. It's talked about this last week. I'm just not sure what's going on with the Texans while Stroud is in. Obviously, there's been O-line troubles, but if that's the case, the less athletic Davis Mills should not have won both games, or at least 3 games that he started. So, can CJ Stroud call protections? I don't know. Let's hope he can, because he's going to need to figure out how to put up points. And he only really needs to put up like 23 points, because the Texans have held teams to 20 or less for most of their games this season. I don't think they win the game, but still, they are my favorite dog. Then I got the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Bills. We did just speak about this. I'm not going to continue on here. In terms of injuries, a couple of tackles out for the Bills. And on the Steelers side, we've got a tackle and a defensive tackle. I think the Steelers are a slightly more healthier team. I think they're a more capable team when they're on their business. Maybe if they use Darnell Washington a bit more, they might get some things going. Either way, with Rodgers in, they can win. Mason Rudolph can also run that team. He had a better QB rating than Rodgers the game that Rodgers went out. They had similar amount of pass attempts. Either way, they're my favorite dog. Then, the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this one is a dangerous game for the Seahawks. I did say just before about Kevin O'Connell letting his boys eat and just having Max Brosner as a facilitator for the ball. What can I say? Seahawks really should win this game, but I think it's a really dangerous game. Rookie QB plan? Don't know. I don't know, man. He's probably been seeing what JJ's been doing wrong, learning from that, has had a full week of reps, and is ready to go out there and kill it. Kill it, boy. Get that job, man. Get that job. I hope the Vikings find something in Max Brosner and move over to him. Now, there's a tasty little section that I want to add. There's a little surprise this week in lines we like, but first, let's go over to overs and unders. This week, we've got the Rams versus the Panthers. I do have the total under of 45.5 points. I don't think the Rams score 45 points. I think the Panthers probably score 6, like a couple of kicks or something like that. The Rams have a very, very good defense, and as you can see, I've got Bryce Young down there for an interception. So I think this is an under game, simply because the Panthers won't score points, and the Rams will probably score 34. 34-6. Call on it. Next, we've got the 49ers into Cleveland against the Browns. Total over of 35.5 points. This is not a lot of points. Basically, one team needs to get 20, 22, 23 points. The other team needs to get 2 touchdowns, 14. It's not that big of a deal. Low scoring affair. I think these teams can hit the total over. I think so. Moving on. Falcons at Jets. Over of 35.5 points. I had to go with this one. 37.5 is not a lot of points. I really think that this one can hit the over. Wish I could tell you who the quarterback was starting for the Atlanta Falcons, so I'm just going to go and do that now. But I do think that this game can take the over. 37.5 points is not a lot. Looks like Kirk Cousins is starting. Look, so we've got 2 pretty competent veteran quarterbacks playing the game. 37.5 points is not a lot. The Atlanta Falcons have a pretty aggressive defensive line. The New York Jets have a pretty good defensive side of the ball. 37.5 points, let's go. Then I've got the Bills versus the Steelers with a 45.5 point over. This one's very doable. Both teams can score quite a lot of points. Bills' defense is not amazing. Steelers' defense has a good line, but outside of that, it seems that they need to learn how to tackle better. 45.5 points is very doable. Then we have the Broncos at Commanders, total under of 43.5 points. Broncos' offense has not been great at scoring. And again, all they really need is 23 points a game to win a game. I don't think the Commanders get too many points this week. If I could tell you, I'd like even Terry McLaurin there. I just don't think it's enough. Honestly, Zach Ertz has had a pretty quiet season himself. Yeah, I've got the under here. Nick Benito's probably going to get 2-3 sacks. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough one if you're Marcus Mariota. Yeah, they are absolutely injury-ridden. Noah Brown, wide receiver, is injured. Traylon Burks is also a full participant. Yeah, they're just a beat-up team. Broncos under. Let's go. Then for the props, we've got the Bryce Young interception, as we stated before. I've got Jacoby Brissett in that game against Tampa Bay to throw over 266.5 yards. This guy has been throwing the ball at least 40 times for the last 3 games. He should be able to get 266 yards easy. You could jack that up to 300 and it'll probably happen. Next, I've got Shedeur Sanders, an over of 0.5 passing TD, so he just needs to pass the touchdown 1 time. Pass the ball to the end zone, somebody catches it, boom. Pretty nice over under there. especially against this Giants team who has not been the most start. Not been the most start. Then we've got Daniel Jones, over rushing yards of 7.5 points. I think he's going to have to run the ball at some point against this Houston Texans defense. Things are going to be locked up. He's going to have to find a lane. Guy likes contact. Probably get a concussion and keep playing. He's going to get a first down somewhere. 7.5 rushing yards. Then we've got Josh Allen against the Pittsburgh Steelers in what could possibly be a massive shootout. I've got him for the over on his passing TD, which is 1.5, so he needs to get 2 touchdowns. Now we've got an extra lag. That's right. A little surprisey. Didn't even let the graphics team know about this one. So this week we've got an extra like. This is a little parlay that I've put myself. I've got Shedeur Sanders for a touchdown, and I've got Max Brosner for a touchdown. Now a little piece of information that I dug up about rookie QBs over the past 2 years. Now this year has been a little bit of a it's been a little bit different. Usually in previous years, the rookie quarterback will run for a touchdown in one of their first few games. This season has not been so. So this season, at least, Cam Ward has run for 0 touchdowns in his first game and his first 3 games. He actually ran for his first touchdown in week 12 last week. So that's what this season is looking like. Then we've got Jackson Dart, the next rookie to be a starter. He ran 1 in his first game, and he ran 2 in his first 3 games total. Another little factoid, he had 7 rushing touchdowns through his first 7 starts with the New York Giants. Then we've got Taylor Shuck in that horrible situation over there. 0 rushing touchdowns first game, 0 rushing touchdowns in the first 3 games, 0 total for him so far. Same story with Dylan Gabriel. Shedeur Sanders is the only other rookie to be starting this season, and he has 0 rushing touchdowns. Now, if we were to talk about JJ McCarthy getting his first start, him being drafted last year, this could be counted as his rookie season. In his first game, he ran for a touchdown. In his first 3 games, he ran for 2 touchdowns. So, again, with Jackson Dart, you get those rookies rushing. Now, let's go back to last year's rookie QBs. We had Caleb Williams, who rushed for 0 in his first game and 0 in his first 3 games. He's rushed for 3 total this season. You'd think that guy would have run more in. I'm kind of surprised about that. We've got Spencer Rattler is the only other rookie who did not rush a touchdown in their first 3 games from the rookies who started last year. He had 0 and 0. Then Joe Milton, he started 1 game for the New England Patriots, and he ran a touchdown in that game. Bo Nix, first game rushed a touchdown. First 3 games rushed 2 total touchdowns. Drake May, first game, no rushing touchdown. Within his first 3 games, he had run for 1. Then we've got Jaden Daniels, the last rookie quarterback to be drafted last year and start for a team. In his first game, he had 2 rushing touchdowns, and his first 3 games, he had acquired 3 total. And in his first 4 games, he actually had 4 touchdowns through the 4 first games. Now, that's a little factoid I wanted to give you because I think it's super interesting that Shedeur Sanders started last week, and he did not rush for a touchdown. The week that he came in, he had some rushing yards, but he did not get a TD. This week could be the week that this rookie quarterback picks up a touchdown. And Max Brosner, it's just a thing. Like, these guys get to the end zone, everything's locked up, mine goes blank, see a hole, use my legs, get a tutty. That's a pretty juicy bet, I gotta say. Have a look at that one. Throw a couple of dollars on that little parlay with those 2 on there. Bet responsibly, though. Next, let's go to the final section of the show, the actual betting section, where I've thrown my money on. I've actually thrown money on the other part of the section, but that's here nor there. Then we have this 5-game parlay. This is a tradition on the show. Every week we make a 5-game parlay. 5's a pretty nice number. with the Thanksgiving Day weekend and the Black Friday game, the dogs have really treated me well this week. So as you can see there, I do have quite a few dogs. I've got the Los Angeles Rams getting 10.5 points against those Panthers. I've got the Arizona Cardinals money line, favorite dogs, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then I've got the Miami Dolphins money line against the New Orleans Saints. I think they win that game. Don't know about covering. Then I've got the Cleveland Browns. Again, my favorite dog this week. Told you how dangerous it could be for the Niners in Cleveland. Money line right there. Then I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another one of my favorite dogs. This parlay is full of dogs. Thanksgiving, those dogs ate. They jumped up on the table. Got that turkey. Whew. Got me some turkey. That's the 5-game parlay, guys. If you like it, run it. If you don't like certain things, switch them out. It's not that hard. We're going to have another one next week, so don't freak out if you lose. Then we have our $1 million parlay. That's right, guys. If you're new to the channel, this is the whole event of the show, I guess. We want to become a millionaire on The Shaun Show, and we want to do it the easy way. That's right. We want to throw a $10 bet on to the NFL football Sunday slate of games. We want to watch the games, or at least let them play out. And then at the end of it, we want to be a millionaire. It's not that difficult to understand. This is a 100,000 to 1 bet, right? $10 makes it a milli. It's easy maths. It's easy maths. All right. Throw all of these games into a parlay. Put $10 on. Become a milli like me. Devontae Adams, 2 touchdowns against Carolina Panthers. He's one of their main red zone weapons. He beats people off the line like that's what he's going on. That's what he's going to go in the Hall of Fame for, and that's what Sean McVay is utilizing him for. He might not have a whole lot of receiving yards in the game, but he'll have 2 touchdowns. Then we've got Trevor Lawrence going to punch one in himself against the Tennessee Titans. Look, he hasn't rushed too many touchdowns this season. He did have that game winner where he dropped the ball. Titans have not let QBs rush into the end zone too much, but I think Trevor's going to be that it factor. They're going to need a touchdown in this tight divisional game. Trevor Lawrence gets it in himself. Then we've got Devon Achane coming off a hot game before the bye week. This guy's been a menace. He's absolutely been tearing things up. He's got a favorable matchup against this New Orleans Saints. 125 rush yards. Let's go. Then we've got Shedeur Sanders. 2 passing touchdowns. 2 passing touchdowns. Look, last week they got to the end zone. Like, the offense didn't have a whole lot of the yards. The defense did great work. Special teams got great field position. Judkins, the running back, did pick up 2 touchdowns, punching it in. I think they let Shedeur sling it a little bit more this week. 2 touchdowns for Shedeur Sanders. Then we've got Jonathan Taylor, 125 plus rushing yards against the #1 defense in football. Just go and have a look at his record against the Houston Texans. Check out his stats last year and the year before. And this team was not great in those last 2 years. Jonathan Taylor, this is their first matchup this season too. 125 rush yards. Then I've got Christian McCaffrey against the Arizona Cardinals. This guy touches the ball more than anybody in football. I think they're going to break a record with the amount of times he's touched the football. 125 plus scrimmage yards. That is rushing plus receiving yardage. Just be aware of that one. Then I've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, 150 receiving yards against the Minnesota Vikings. This is not otherworldly for Jackson Smith. They feed him. He catches the ball. He runs with it. He's insane. 150 plus receiving yards. Then finally we've got Josh Allen punching one in himself against that nasty D-line in Pittsburgh. I think he's going to need to rush one in. They're probably going to be stopping the run quite well. So I think on the goal line, he's going to find a way and get into the paint. And guys, that is the Shaun Show for this week. You know, if I remembered what it was, I think it was episode 15. That's right. Look, I will catch you guys next week. Go back and look at those bets. Enjoy the football. I'm going to enjoy them. And we'll talk about things a bit more next week. But yeah, be aware of some of those trap teams. They're out there. They'll get you. Peace out.